In this module, we'll look at how to add resources such as files, folders, as well as some image files to your Moodle course. In order to get started, we're going to click the editing button, which is up here at the top. You'll notice that the editor turns on, and I have these additional links and icons that were not available before. To add a resource, I'm going to click the Add an Activity or Resource. As a reminder, with all activities and resources, there's always descriptive help text that comes with each one, so you can make sure that you're choosing the correct activity or resource for your needs. Down here in the resource section, we have book, file, folder, the IMS content package, which you likely will never use, labels if you're big on tagging things, page, and URL. I'm going to start here with file because that's the most common format of resource that we're going to be uploading and attaching to our Moodle course. Files include any files, so this could be a Word document, it could be a PDF, it could be a document in rich text format, it could be a PowerPoint. Basically any type of file that you want to upload and you want to show up essentially as a downloadable link. So when a student clicks on it, the document will download and they'll be able to open it. If you want to embed it so that they can view it from within Moodle to work on it that way, you need to view a different module where I showed you some tricks dealing with embedding. We're going to take a brief pause and talk a little bit about documents on Moodle. Since Moodle is so flexible with documents, you have the option to attach or embed just about any type of document. You could put any of the Microsoft Office documents on there, like Word, Excel, PowerPoint. You could put PDFs on there, and we can embed Google Docs as well, where we have links to Google Docs. We have the actual embedded Google Doc viewer, so we can work on documents within the site, etc. But making the decision in terms of what types of documents you want to put on and what format you're going to attach them is an important decision. First of all, you need to think a little bit about the audience for that document and also its intended purpose. So is a document that I'm attaching to the site merely an instruction document? Is it an informational document? Or is it something that I expect kids to work on either individually or in groups? Do I want them to work on it at school? Do I want them to work on it at home? Next, think about the size of the document. If you have a document that's, say for instance, a Word document that has a bunch of pictures that have been embedded into the document, it's probably a pretty large file. Typically, uploading that to the Moodle server as a file to work with isn't really the best way to work with that. It'd be a better idea to upload it to your Google Drive and either put in a link to it on your Moodle page or perhaps attach it to the Moodle page via Google Docs. Additionally, if you have a Word document that you want to share with kids via Google Docs, Moodle will adjust that document into what's called RTF, rich text format, so it's going to adjust some of the formatting. So again, you may want to link to it. As you begin working a little bit more with Moodle, you'll kind of quickly see how Moodle adjust some of your documents and how sometimes it puts it on a new page and sometimes it doesn't. So it's best to, as you're going in and attaching these things, to play with some of the settings and see how it looks and with different types of documents, with different types of settings, whether it's embedded within your Moodle page or whether it downloads automatically or opens in a new window. And then you'll get a better idea when it comes to setting these things up for next year of how you would like that content to display for students. But I'm just going to attach a file, so I go ahead and click Add. And then it asks me for the basics. The name, the description, and then where is it. So I'm going to start here with the name, and I'm just going to have the name be test document, and description, this document is for the next project. And then it's since you have to fill in the description anyways, it's very useful to check this box because this will make it show up for students. And this is where you give them information on why do they need this, what's it for. Next, I need to select the file, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click the plus button. It jumps me already to the add a file from my computer spot. So I'm going to choose that file from my desktop, this new test document right here. I'm going to go ahead and open that. You'll notice that it doesn't automatically put in the name, so I'm going to put in a name for that. And then I'm going to go ahead and update that dialog box so that it finally uploads the file. Once this file is uploaded, it's also contained on the server, meaning if I need to use it again in either a different course or in a different module, topic, chapter, unit, however you have it set up, it's always going to be there. I don't need to go back and upload it again. And to access that, you'll click on this folder right here for files, and you'll be able to access that. If instead I wanted to upload an entire folder, I can create a new folder in here and populate the documents one by one, or I can go back and use the upload folder module in the resources section. So we're going to finish off this one first before we move on. Appearance, most of this you don't really need to change. You can display it as an embed, which is automatically going to link it, or you can put it in a new window, so it'll pop up in a new window when it opens. Or you can select force download. For most people, I just recommend leaving these settings as they are. Beyond that, you can set it to either be to show or be hidden. You can restrict the access to it. Now this is one of the best parts about any of the resources or activities, because you can decide exactly when it will show up and disappear from students viewing on Moodle. So if I wanted to say that this document is available to students only for a certain week, I would go through and I would select the time information right here and click enable with each. Instead, maybe I grade their tests and quizzes, and this document has to do with retaking a quiz. And it's information about work that students have to do before I allow them to retake a quiz. If I have the students taking the quizzes in here, or I have students maybe submitting a draft of an essay or a piece of longer writing, and I've graded it in here, I can set this to show that their grade must be at least a certain percentage, and I can also add additional conditions to this form. So basically you have a bunch of options in here of ways that you can restrict access to something based on your needs in the classroom. We get into this a little bit more heavily in the gradebook area in the Moodle 102 module. So this is just kind of an overview of this section for now. Finally, completion tracking. Do you want this on or not? So you can turn it off altogether. It's defaulting to where the students have the little checkbox and they can check it off themselves, or you can turn it on so that the teacher has to check them off. Either way, it doesn't really matter, but you'll want to make sure that you make a selection here. And then finally, do they have to open it? You generally want to check this, because what that will say is that in order for them to actually move forward and mark this as complete, they have to open the file and look at it. So if it's something for the whole class, you probably want to have this enabled. And then I'm going to hit save and return to course. And now you see my document is right here. It gives me the example or the information in terms of what type of document is it, how big is it, etc. You see the little checkbox here on the side that would display for students. If I turn off the editing, you see this is exactly how it will look for students. So this is where the description portion comes in handy. Alright, let's add a couple more resources. So I'm going to go back down, I'm going to click add again. This time I'm going to add a folder. So I click add. It's going to ask me name and information again, so I'm just going to call it a folder. And let's actually call it resources folder. And now it's going to say, alright, well, where is it? So again, I go down and click, and I follow the same process as I did before. Now, I'm going to close back out of this. If instead I want to add it from another place, I'm going to go back here, and you'll notice private files. If I click on private files, you'll see that I already have some files that are in here, including a folder. So maybe I want to attach this folder that I've used with other classes in here. I can do it. I can do that. If instead I want to attach just a specific document, I can select that document and add that, and you'll see it's right there. Alright, now that I have the file in here, maybe it's not the correct one. If I want to get rid of a file that's in there, I click on it, and I go ahead and hit delete. And it's going to ask me, do you want to delete it? Yes, I do. And it's gone. If you have documents that are in your Google Drive, you'll notice Google Drive is up here. The first time you use Google Drive, you'll need to authorize it, meaning when I click on Google Drive, it'll say in here, do you want to allow Moodle to do X, Y, and Z? And you want to click yes or OK. Once that happens, it'll initialize, and you'll be able to see your files and folders that are in your Google Drive. And then you'll be able to select a file that you want to add in here. So I'm going to select this one, and it's going to grab it from my Google Drive and it's going to drop it in here so that it's available. So again, I can mess with the module settings, the restricting access, etc., but I'm not going to do anything for that. I'm just going to upload it and leave it there. And now you'll notice that there's a folder there, and once I open up that folder and click on it, you'll see that, oh, there's my file that I wanted to share, which was this picture of a computer. So that's how you add in files and folders. Now we're going to take it one step further for the last section here. And we're going to look at a page or a URL. Page and URL allow, again, some additional flexibility. And URL works very well for embedding things. And pages allow the teacher to split off a particular chapter into subpages to help better organize information so that I only have a small bit of information per page or per screen that a student sees. This allows me to break down things where, especially if we're teaching multiple projects at the same time, or I'm teaching multiple subjects. So for instance, in the elementary classroom, to have a page on math, a page on English and reading, and a page on science, and maybe a page on social studies, within my week keeps the information separate and allows me to keep it from being jumbled. All it does is creates another blank area. So if I click page and I add that, it's going to ask me to name it. I'm just going to say weekly English activities, and then it's going to say, okay, well, what do you want to put in there? And this is where I can put in basic information such as text. Maybe I have a video or a picture I want to embed, or maybe I want to attach a file that has curricular information on it or something else that I'm using. Again, I have the same options where I can pull from my Google Drive. So if I have a curriculum map for the week or a lesson that I want to throw in there, I can do that. I can upload it from my computer itself if I want to go that route, or if I have something that I'm using all the time, so maybe it's a standards-based document that's on my computer that I've uploaded before, I can access it that way. Right now I'm in my Google Drive, and again, here are all what that looks like with all of those files. So I'm not going to do that right now. I'm actually going to go back and look at, instead, adding a URL. Adding a URL is essentially adding a web link. So if you have videos that you're using with, say, Khan Academy in the secondary level, or links that you want students to go to. Maybe you want them in the elementary level to go to a specific website, a PBS Kids website, or some kind of resource. This would be the way to add in that link. So I'm going to name the link important link for activity 1, and I'm going to display that for kids. And then I need a link, and it says choose a link. This allows you also to grab it from somewhere. So say, for instance, I had something on YouTube, and I needed a video on frogs. True facts about the frog. San Diego Zoo kids, frogs, life cycle of a frog. This one here looks interesting. So let's look at this one. Select this file. Okay, it's going to give me this. Now, this is only useful if you've actually reviewed this. So I would want to review this first before I actually posted it. But it's kind of a quick way to find things. If you already know the URL that you're putting in there, then all you need to do is copy and paste it in. So how do you want it to look? Most of this you shouldn't have to adjust. Some internal parameters. And then here, notice, restrict access, activity completion, all of that's the same in every single resource and activity that you do. If you want to make it only available at certain times, or if kids have to meet certain steps before they can do it, that's how you set that up. So I'm going to save and return to course. And now you'll notice that this link is in here. If I click on it, you'll notice that it's grabbing the video from YouTube, and here's the video that kids can watch. And if I want to watch it in YouTube, I'll click the YouTube button, or if I want to go full screen, I can do that as well.